And hello again. As you can see, I've got my collection out from the safe. There's all the boxes I've just opened up. And here's my watches here. The Rolexes, Zeniths, the Omega, and also not forgetting my trusty tag, which I've got on my wrist today. And there it is. And the reason why I've got all these watches out is because I'm thinking of consolidating my collection, which I've mentioned before in a previous video. And what I'd like to do ideally is to reduce my collection down from 8 watches at the moment to about 4 or 5. One of which will be a new watch in gold. And since I love chronographs, it will have to be a gold chronograph. And so here's my collection. And of course the key question when it comes to buying and selling or consolidating a collection is how much each piece is worth. And in addition to these, of course, I've got my trusty Tag Carrera. Now I bought that in 2010. It cost me £2,000 when the retailer was 2,400 I think. And having looked at sales prices on eBay and so on, and also on Chrono24, I think this is worth between £1,000 and £1,200 on a good day. That's what it's worth to me, not what it might be sold for by a dealer or whatever, which is obviously what counts. So that's what, £1,200, maybe £1,000 on a bad day. So not really worth selling it just for £1,000 to put into the pot to buy, say, a gold Rolex worth 20,000. It's just not worth it. So I think that one's a keeper. Next up is the Omega Speedmaster FOIX. Now I've not had that long. I've had it since early 2016, and it cost me £3,400 I think, and that's now worth round about somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000. It's difficult to know because prices are quite variable on eBay and so on, and there aren't that many around. But I would say on a bad day I should be able to get about 2,500 for this. So not done so well. I've lost what, £900 within a year, which isn't ideal. Next up is my Zenith chronograph Captain. I've had that again since 2010. Retail at the time I think was around 5,000. I didn't pay that because this was actually an insurance payout, so I didn't actually pay out any cash for this. But nevertheless, I think at the moment it's worth between £3,000 and £3,500. Let's say 3,250 on a good day. So not too good, but not too bad, kind of average I think for a typical high-end watch like this. Next up is the Zenith Pilot chronograph. I do like this watch actually, so I don't think I was selling it, but nevertheless, I got this I think for £4,000 in 2011. It was retail at a time for 4,800, and this one hasn't done so badly when it comes to depreciation. I think partly because it's quite a short-lived model. It was changed after about 2 years to a slightly different model with a big date, and I think a lot of folks like this particular model instead. So yeah, between about 3,500, something like that, is what I should be able to get for this from a dealer or from eBay or whatever. That said though, I wouldn't actually sell it through eBay. I wouldn't sell any of these things through eBay. I think it's far too dangerous. There's far too many pitfalls, far too many scams I've heard about. So if I did get rid of these, or some of these anyway, I would probably do a swap to an AD. Yeah, so that one's not too bad at all. And then we come to Rolex, which obviously these are all Rolex sports watches, which in theory should have a fantastic depreciation rate. Obviously it helps with the recent price rise last November has upped the prices or the value of second-hand watches like mine, which is always nice. So let's start with the Rolex Milgauss, my Z Blue. I bought that about a year ago, £5,500 I think it was at the time. New price now is over 6,000, and according to eBay prices, I think this one's worth maybe between 5 and 5,300, so not bad at all. I may even get a bit more actually because it's a pretty mint watch. It's you know, not a mark on it. In fact, all my watches are pretty mint. I don't damage them. I sort of take care of them, so they're all mint. They're still under warranty. So yeah, I think that's pretty worth between 5 and 5.5, maybe 5,300, something like that. Next up is my Submariner. I got that one in 2012 I think. That one was 5,600 when I bought it. Now these again are over £6,000 in quite short supply. This one is again mint condition, and it's actually kept its value. I think it's still worth around about 5,500, 5,600 if I went to maybe swap it at dealers and so on. And finally the star of the show is the classic Daytona. Got that one in, let me see, August 2015, and that one cost me $7,900 at the time. And because it's now been replaced by the new version with the ceramic bezel, which are in massive demand. I mean, long waiting lists. and folks are selling them for £14,000 to great dealers and so on. That's also had an effect on these models. And mine being the 2015, last year manufacture, I think this has gone through the roof in terms of prices. It seems the second-hand price now is between, let me see, around about £11,000 to £12,700, would you believe? And so the Daytona's made, what, at least £3,000, and that's what I can sell it for, not what a dealer might then sell it for in turn to another customer. So if you do the maths, I could in fact swap all of these for, say, a gold Daytona, but I don't want to because I like all these watches, and really the more I sort of look at them, the more I think about it, which I have been thinking about for the last few months, the more I think, sod it, I'll just keep what I've got, and if needed, I'll just find some money to buy the next model, a gold or not. But if I was going to get rid of any of them, I guess it would be the Speedmaster and the Submariner, because that's the one that I don't wear that much. That's more my sort of holiday watch that I wear when I'm away. And yeah, I'm not really into dive watches, but it's a great watch. But for me, I would prefer to keep these two rather than this one. But we'll see. So I'll be taking my own advice and not doing anything too quickly, too hastily. And in fact, I'll probably keep all these for another year or two yet before I might add to the collection or get rid of one or two of these and get something else. Who knows? But I think one point to make that's very important is that if you are building a collection, you may well flip watches, you may well buy and sell over the years. And when you come to sell, it's a huge psychological blow to realise that you've lost maybe half your money on a beautiful watch like this, whereas had you bought, say, a Submariner or a Daytona, come the day you want to flip or sell, it really does make a difference when it comes to the value. And yet that's also a kind of double-edged sword, because these things have lost so much money, to sell them would crystallise that loss. It's a real sort of psychological blow to sort of let them go and realise you've lost all the money. Whereas if you let that one go, the Daytona, you've actually made money. And so you can pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, great, I did well there, I'll move it on and then move on to something else. And that, I think, is why these sort of models, these Daytonas, are often bought and sold a lot. People buy them new, flip them after a short time, because there's no real cost. In fact, you may have actually made money. Whereas if you buy something like this, my fantastic Zenith Captain El Primero, which I do actually love, I mean, it's a great watch, certainly not second best to a Rolex, you'll lose your shirt. So once again, it's well worth thinking ahead when you are thinking of buying a new watch to consider its value maybe 5 or 10 years ahead, because one day you may want to sell it, you may have to sell it, and so considering the second-hand value is always well worth your time and effort. Anyway, thanks for watching, and cheers.